I think to achieve business outcomes from HRO, I think companies need to pay attention to the contracts, look at what's sort of built in, what's the 3 to 5 year roadmap that the provider has committed to. As part of that, I think that's critical to achieving business outcomes. The other thing, obviously, is to sort of start early, right? We don't talk about this enough, is investment in change management. When the company is going through a large shared services back office outsourcing arrangement, there's going to be a lot of change in how employees interact with HR on a day-to-day basis. Adoption of that and making sure that's successful and that it doesn't have the glitches that typically are associated with the transition could be tackled if the company is prepared for investing in change. So making those plans ahead of the knowledge transfer, ahead of the transition, is quite effective to achieving the outcomes. Stacey, what about you?
Yeah, no, I agree that a huge part of the success around HRO is thinking about how do we operate differently. And I think depending upon kind of where organizations are in the spectrum, we can see a lot of the value come from maybe it's harmonizing, where they were operating disparately across different business units and taking the opportunity to kind of reset, focus on best practices, leverage best practices capability of the provider, ensure that they are leveraging the provider technology, whether it's self-service, automation, or some of those other tools. So I do think, really thinking about holistically, how do we better structure our processes or model, leverage the technology to the extent possible. But I also think importantly, it is about getting the provider to sign up for those business outcomes. So not just sort of going along with the standard kind of more tactical day-to-day SLAs that are typical that we often see in the industry, but truly, looking at in partnership with the provider, ensuring they're willing to sign up for the business outcomes that you're trying to achieve. So for example, if an organization is really focused around, how do we improve the level of self-service and, get more efficiency within our business, then, to what extent is the provider bringing the technology that they actually are improving the user experience, that it's well adopted, that they're looking at what are the calls into the HR shared services center, what's the reason for the calls, analyzing that, providing consultative support back, and here's how we reduce the volume and further increase self-service. So things of that nature. So I do think it's really important up front to make sure that you've got the right sort of partnership structure aligned to achieving the business outcomes that organizations are seeking.